recording today's session for an archive that will be placed on our website at prevention.org. It'll be in the Resources tab under the Student Assistance Center. Our moderator today is Patricia Berry. She will be talking to our panelists and asking them questions. Obviously, anyone who is in attendance today with our webinar can also ask questions either through the chat or the questions feature. If you have a question that you need me to get to you quickly, I can also, you can raise your hand in the box and I will call on you. I'll be kind of monitoring the chat and the questions. So if any questions pop up, I will interrupt Pat and throw those questions out to our panelists. I'm going to turn the control over to you, Pat, so we can go ahead and begin.
Super, Dale. Hi, everyone. I'm just setting up my screen here to take over. Thank you for joining us today. I would like to first give a big shout out to our three panelists who were willing to be presenters today. What we're going to do is first introduce each of the panelists. I'll tell you a little bit about their school and their SAP, just a few demographics. And then we'll go through a series of questions. I will ask a question to our panelists, and then in turn, each will answer it. And we're just using alphabetical order today in terms of who speaks when. So we'll start with Belleville East with each question, then we'll go to Joliet West with each question, and then Whiteside Middle School with each question. I'm going to start back up with Cheryl Logston, who is with Belleville East High School. Cheryl, would you tell us a little bit about you, your role with the SAP, a little about your school, and how long your SAP has been in place?
Sure, Pat. We're located about 30 miles east of St. Louis. We're a very large district that's comprised of two high schools, Belleville East and Belleville West. Between the two high schools, we have about 5,000 students. I'm one of the social workers here at Belleville East, and I coordinate the SAP at our campus, our STAR team. The SAP at the West Campus is coordinated by teacher Sally Steffens. And the SAP has been in place here in our district since around 2000.
Thank you, Cheryl. Let's go to Debbie. Debbie, tell us a little bit about you and your school.
I'm in Joliet Township High School. We have two buildings, Joliet West, where I'm housed, and Joliet Central, our sister campus. We also have an alternatives program near the Central campus. We have roughly 6,000 students, a very high free and reduced lunch rate. Our population's very diverse. I'm the Student Assistance Program Coordinator at Joliet West, and Mark Peterson is at our sister school, Joliet Central. I've been in this position for 18 years, and the SAP's been around since, well, probably 5 years previous to that. So we've been around for a long time.
Thanks, Debbie. Jean, let's go to you. Tell us a little bit about you and your role and your SAP.
Certainly. Our district is a smaller district. We have about 1,450 students. 820 of those are at our elementary school, and I serve the middle school as their school social worker. I'm also the SAP coordinator, and Amy Laritz has that role at our elementary school. We are about 30 miles east of St. Louis, and we're a feeder school to Belleville East High School. We have about 50% minority-majority split and about a 45% free and reduced lunch, so that gives you a little of our demographics. I have been in this role for 12 years, but I know the SAP was taking place maybe about 3 years before I started here, so I'm guessing right at 15 years as far as having a team in our district.
Thank you, Jean. I've had the pleasure of knowing all three of these terrific people for a number of years, probably close to 15 years, 12 to 15 years. And just want to thank each of you for giving us your time and your expertise today. Let's take a look at questions that we're going to be addressing today. First of all, would you please describe how your SAP operates, what the basic structure is like? Because I know that in all three of those schools there are some differences. And because student assistance is a framework, the fact that there are differences in every building is really a good thing. That means that the school has embraced the framework and made it their own by integrating it into what works best for them. When you're describing that, would you please talk about your problem-solving team, support groups if you have those, prevention groups, activities like that, etc. So let's start with Cheryl.
Okay. Our team is comprised of what I think usual teams are made of: teachers, school speech language pathologists, school psychologists, nurse, our resource officer, an assistant principal. That makes up our team. We have about 20 members. We have 20 members on our team. We meet 2 times a month, and these are usually over the lunch periods. That kind of helps us out with the sub situation because our administration is kind enough to offer subs to the teachers to attend the meetings. We meet, like I said, 2 times a month, usually for 2 or 3 hours. Now, 2 times a year I have an all-day meeting, obviously once in the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. That's a great day for us to do some team building as well. We go out to lunch, and it's a little more informal. I do try to schedule in-services, educational sessions for our team. Yesterday we had one on drug trends, but I've had in-services on gang activity or the needs of our GLBT population. We've had motivational interviewing in-services. I want to say, too, that some of the support groups that we offer, we have outside agencies come in and do things for our boys and girls. We have something called Wise Guys, Real Men, Real Talk. We have a Smart Girls group. We also have a teen grief group that comes in. We have someone from the Violence Prevention Center come in and talk about healthy relationships. Let's see, Pat, was there something else you wanted?
I think that's good so far. Thank you, okay. Cheryl. Let's go on. Let's go on to Debbie.
Okay, and Pat, you and I met. We do things a little differently here. We meet every other week as a team with our deans, counselors, social worker, special ed coordinator, PPS coordinator. So I said social worker, psychologists, and we get together and we identify students who are in need. We look at different things like discipline, grades, etc. In addition to that, we're kind of unique in one facet, and I explained this to Pat previously. Several years ago, we wrote the grant with Safe Schools Healthy Student Grant, and we were awarded a large sum of money to start a program within our own building. So how that works is we work with community agencies to come in as well. However, it's set up a little, structured a little differently. We have, with our Will County Health Department, we have counselors right on site here, and that kind of helps out tremendously to take the burden off some of our guidance counselors and social workers. In addition, it helps fulfill the needs of our students much more generously. We also have a probation officer on site a couple days a week, depending on need. We also have addictions counselors, or they're all interns actually, who are right on site. So if we have a substance abuse case, they can actually do the assessment right here on site. So that kind of really alleviates the responsibility, I hate to say that word, but of the parent and the student have to find the time to go outside of the building and find a resource, because there aren't very many resources available for substance abuse, as we all know. We're kind of struggling with that area. Once we identify students, we focus very, as a team, on which direction we need to go with getting them some help, the help that they need. Obviously, our focus with SAP is prevention, education, and intervention. And I'm really kind of the ringleader in all that, and I have a wonderful, wonderful staff that's very supportive. We have wonderful students, and I'm just very lucky to have the job that I have.
Thank you, Debbie. Let's go on to Jean.
Yes, we too pull from a multidisciplinary team, but what makes ours unique, I think, is our superintendent actually serves on our team, as does one of our principals in both buildings. and not in a way that is any way micromanaging, but just getting in there and offering even to mentor a student or sometimes tutor or whatever it takes. We follow a BAHA model, and so referrals can be based on behavior, academics, health, or attendance. We meet weekly after school, and we too bring in supports from outside. We have a Big Brothers Big Sisters counselor that comes in and sees some of our kids individually. We bring Girls on Track to our program. We've done a Go Girls program. Our Proud Patriots group is to support kids whose parents have been deployed, and because of our close proximity to Scott Air Force Base, that comes up pretty often. But overall, I wish we had more time, and what a luxury to be able to have that full day, Cheryl. I didn't know that was something you were able to do, and something I just learned from and hope to pull for ourselves.
Thank you. Let's move on to the second question, and if you would, please talk about the ways that students are identified for your SAP services and some of the issues that you face in your building. And again, we'll go back to Cheryl.
Well, primarily students are referred by teachers, but we also get referrals from our administrators, our assistant principals, parents, and even students themselves. Usually, though, it's a teacher who has noticed either academic or behavioral issues in the classroom and then refer to our program. This year, our school started something different and new called the PLC, which is the Professional Learning Community. This is something that is offered to freshmen this year, and it's a core group of teachers who identify students who are struggling academically very early on in their freshman year, and we have gotten referrals from them when they see that the issues with the student are a little more beyond just academic. Maybe there's things at home or other behavioral things, and then they will refer to us. So those are most of the areas where we get our referrals from. I think one of the issues that we deal with is just time, having time to spend with the students. That's why we try to build in an hour out of every meeting to just have student meeting time. I wanted to mention too, another thing that we started a couple years ago is a STAR, which STAR team is the name of our SAP, STAR study group. And we kind of modeled it after a learning strategies group or class that they do in special ed, but this STAR study group focuses on organization, listening skills, skills for studying for exams and quizzes. It's just really a good opportunity for those kids to beef up the skills that maybe they don't have, and that's why they're having some barriers to success here at school.
Thank you. Debbie, how about you? Would you talk about the ways your students are identified for your SAP services and then some of the issues that you face?
And as I already indicated, our teams do meet every other week, or they sometimes even weekly, and we discuss things. A lot of the referrals do come from our teachers because we have a freshman building, and in the freshman building there's also a core group of teachers that are responsible for different sets of students, and they really they would meet regularly to discuss those students. I wish we kind of had that at the upper level as well. However, that time is not conducive for that. We're pretty lucky too because we do have self-referral for support groups. Many of our kids refer. Anger management seems to be our number one request. We have many we have many parents call with regard to services because we really publicize what we offer in the community quite well, and we have somebody responsible simply for that. So I would think the biggest challenge, and of course I think everybody's feeling this, there just aren't very many resources available for our kids with addiction problems, and that's what I'm facing mostly as of late, because even our local health department just recently they decided to actually close their IOP, so that's kind of really, I'm up against the wall trying to get kid services, those without insurance and no Medicaid especially, so we're really kind of up against the wall with regards to that.
Thank you. Jean?
Well, our referrals come pretty much the same way, mainly through teachers, and it could be academic, which would be a beginning for the RTI process too. We call our team the RAP team, from Respect and Protect. It's the acronym we kind of borrowed from one of your trainings.
Sure.
And You know, parents can call and ask for assistance. As far as student referrals, typically a student will go to a trusted adult, and then that adult will make the referral. Obviously, economically, we struggle too, and we do have some pretty good connections in the community that can offer the supports that we need, but it's usually pretty short run, and as far as long-term help, I think we're really lacking in that area.
Thank you each. Let's go on to that third question. If you would, please describe some of the services that your SAP offers. And it could be a programmatic service, or it could be an individual service. Tutoring, mentoring, counseling, community organization coming into the building. But basically, if you would, just tell us about what kind of services you offer at SAP. And Cheryl, again, would you start with that?
Well, I'll just kind of continue with what I said earlier. I do want to mention something very important, and that is the juvenile justice SAP connection that was made, and Pat was instrumental in getting that going here in St. Clair County. As a result of that, we have a liaison with the probation department that attends our meetings. When he comes here to visit with students, our action plan managers meet with him, with that student. So that has been an important link that brought together a large number of community agencies to dialogue about what services are available. And another result of that is what I think is the creme de la creme of brochures or handouts that list a variety of services available in our area. It's been distributed to law enforcement agencies and, like I said, community agencies. So the Juvenile Justice Initiative, I think, has been quite important and successful here. I was going to mention, too, we do offer anger management. I think we're all kind of offering those same things, anything that can support our students. Tutoring is available after school here at our school 4 days a week. They can also get tutoring in math and English over the lunch hours. And I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight, again, the number of community agencies that are willing to come in and meet with our students. It's great.
Thank you, Cheryl. Debbie.
With our SAP, we offer a plethora of programs. I would say, I'm going to first focus on a different phase of SAP, our prevention component. Within the building, we have a prevention club. It's quite large. We have over 100 members, 100 students involved in our prevention club. And we actually perform and do assemblies in different schools and community agencies. And I think that's wonderful. Our district supports that because few districts still have those types of programs, I realize. And we also are the ones who still do Operation Snowball, Red Ribbon Week, and those different activities through our prevention program. Education's huge, too. I'm always doing presentations on bullying, on Rachel's Challenge. Of course, Pat, I talked to you about Rachel's Challenge and what that's all about. I've done programs on heroin prevention and prevention in general, marijuana prevention for our students and our staff. We also do education, again, through our Snowball and different activities like our support groups or our self-help groups or education self-help groups, I guess. Interventions, I do all the substance abuse interventions, and of course with that we link those students into whatever addictions help we can get them. We offer counseling services, again, support for our kids on probation, support for our kids who are struggling with addiction. Our groups, we have so many self-help groups here at school. The one that I think is really in particular, kind of, again, the anger management is the most requested, but we also offer groups in loss, like many schools do, healthy eating, healthy relationships, gang prevention, and Girl Scouts come in and do a group for us. Our Guardian Angel Home, which is our violence prevention program, works with our young ladies who've been abused. And we also have, stress and stop smoking and those different things as well. So we offer many support groups to our students. We offer individual counseling services. We offer prevention, education, and intervention. I think, and we can still offer more. And I think there's just so many needs of many students, and I feel like it really impacts their learning if they don't get the services that we offer.
Thanks, Debbie. I do want to comment that I think Joliet West has one of the strongest prevention clubs in the state, and the youth are involved in so many things, and it helps to build the youth ability to develop leadership skills and service skills, contribute in meaningful ways, like the literature and positive youth development asks us to do that, and as well as just giving lots and lots of growth opportunities and service opportunities.
Can I interject here, Pat? I'm sorry, Pat?
You bet, Debbie.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of my students is sitting here who's president of the club, and she just gave you a thumbs up for that. So accolades.
Oh.
Thank you.
Good. Very good. Jean, would you go ahead and answer the question, please? Talk about your services.
Certainly. We too have the typical support groups that others have mentioned, and that is just kind of a dynamic process based on need. We never start out saying, well, we'll have 2 anger managements and 1 depression, and it just kind of evolves. And so we also have something new for us. I know it's been around forever, but we just started a Lifesavers group, and we have Junior Optimists along with a Big Brother, Big Sister program where bigs come from the high school and partner with our littles here. McKendree College brings in some tutoring once a week, but we also have peer tutoring through our NJHS kiddos, peer mentoring because we can't quite get enough bigs. We'll have some of the NJHS kids partner with a student who might be more socially isolated and maybe have lunch and just kind of hang out once a week. Of course, we have outside counselors that come in for a variety of reasons, and sometimes our services result in RTI interventions, either general ed that would go into an entire classroom, or maybe a literacy or math lab, or Connor's behavior rating scale so that we can get some good data adherence. So, you know, we're only limited by our own imaginations and creativity. We have full support of our administrators, so you never know what's coming, quite honestly.
Would you talk a little bit more about Lifesavers, Jean?
Lifesavers is just starting. We haven't even had it in place for a month yet. And there is a high school student that connected with us that wanted to bring the program from the high school to the middle school. And it's a prevention program, a lot of discussion about drugs and I guess just refusal skills and that type of thing, trying to change the image that it's cool to say no to those kind of things. If we can shift their perspective, I think we can make a difference. So we're excited about that new addition, and we're looking forward to seeing it grow by leaps and bounds, and I think it's going to take off very quickly.
Thank you, Jean. I think an important note at this point is that none of these programs started out with all the services right in the beginning. Over time, each has been able to add, just as Jean was talking about, just adding Lifesavers. None of those SAPs started out with all of these services right in the beginning, and that's so typical of understanding the growth of student assistance, that you start out with your basic framework, and then as you go through time, you are able to add additional services with that. Thank you all. Let's take a look at our next set of questions here. And I'm not able to move it. So, let's see. Dale, can I move it back over to you? Can we move it over to you? And then can you pull up the next set? There it went. Okay, sorry, there it went. Number 4, if you would talk about how you promote your SAP to staff and administrators, to parents and students, and how do you get buy-in from them? How have you been able to do that? So again, we'll go back to Cheryl.
Well, from the time I started here at Belleville East in 2004, I felt completely supported with, in regards to our SAP team. I report statistics to the staff at faculty meetings 2 times a year. I feel like if they kind of know what our numbers are and they know the number of success stories we have, that encourages them to refer students. Another important tool for our team is our website. There's a nice presentation of our STAR team and how to get in contact with people and how to fill out referrals and what services are available there. Also, our school counselors visit our feeder schools, and STAR team is part of their presentation. Then in early spring, we have something here at East called Lancer Fest, and an opportunity at that time to have a table, and our brochures are out there for students to see, and we can give them information. The other thing I want to mention is involvement in local agency, local and county programs. I try very hard to attend things like that because I feel like by getting our name out there and helping other agencies and our community to know we're available, that's a marketing tool as well.
Thank you. Let's move on to Deb, if you'll talk about that, please.
Okay, I think, again, I was pretty lucky because the person whom I replaced, again, 18 years ago, staff buy-in was already there because I think they recognized early on because of our demographics that the need for the social and emotional health component to be fulfilled. We have a wonderful superintendent. I know I've talked with Pat about this. I can't say enough about our superintendent, and I don't even think she'll hear this, so I'm not even giving her this promotion, but she's been very much a strong advocate for our students through her tenure so far. And I'm real proud of the fact that she does recognize the social and emotional component, so it kind of trickles down within our district. So I think that's huge when you have your superintendent buy-in and your principal. In fact, we just had Snowball 2 weeks ago, and obviously finances were tough, and our principal found a way to donate some money. She found money for us. So I think that when you have that support from your administration, obviously your staff has tremendous buy-in as well. Community-wide, of course, they recognize the need because we do promote things quite well in the Joliet area, and oftentimes get a lot of support from the community as well. And parents, they knock on our door quite frequently. So I think we're pretty lucky to have that, and the support from the administration and the buy-in from the administration, staff, and students.
Debbie, how do you help parents know that they can contact the SAP?
It's on our website. It goes out with the newsletter. Very much promoted our 8th grade parent night, which we get many students. Almost anything where the parents are invited, we have literature about SAP and our YES program in general, which is our program I spoke of earlier that we were granted years ago, the award. So our administrations, again, they're the ones who get a lot of that out with help from our publicists that we have in our district.
Thank you. And one more question for you, Debbie. Would you talk just a little about Snowball, what that is?
Our Operation Snowball is a prevention retreat, and our focus is leadership skills, coping skills, resiliency skills, and a plethora of other skills the kids learn throughout the weekend. The way ours works is we start here at Joliet West in the morning. We board buses at noon. We head to Oregon, Illinois, Laredo, Taft. It's Northern Illinois University's outdoor education facility along the Rock River. We have, it's open to any student, not just students in my prevention club. And we focus the whole entire weekend on a lot of team building, self-reflection, and the other attributes that I had mentioned previously. We have guest speakers come in. We do mini workshops. This year we focused on a little bit about suicide prevention because we did have some issues in our building with that this year. We focused a little bit on diversity training and things of that nature. So it's basically a weekend of a lot of laughs, a lot of cries, and primarily self-reflection.
Thank you very much. Jean, how about you? Would you talk about how you have been able to garner staff, parent, administrator support?
Well, I too inherited the administrator support. I was very fortunate. One thing we do at the very beginning of the year, at our first Institute Day, I put in a plug for our team and invite any new members or staff that's been here forever that maybe wasn't interested before to give it a try. Our team also encourages what we call our warrior welcome. We're the Whiteside Warriors. So whenever we have new students coming into the district and they aren't connected, we have an open house for them that our team members attend, and our NJHS kiddos become ambassadors for those kids. And parents are invited. We provide pizza, and we explain all that we do and introduce our members and make sure that the new parents know about us. But for other families that have been with us forever, of course, there was an SAP team in the other building, but then there's also information on our website, in our handbook. We did also an art project. We wanted some way to signify to all students that we were members of this team. And I don't know if you can click over to my desktop, but there's a picture there.
I think I can. Let's give this a try.
We held an art contest with a gift card as a prize, and we encouraged all the students to submit something, and it would be judged. And this was the winner in that particular year. So these.
Jean?
Yes.
Can you, I think you need to check a little box that says, see my screen, show my screen. There you are.
Did that do it? Okay. This is the one we chose because it just was a fun picture. And the kids really got into this. So anyhow, all of our students know that if you see this outside our door, that we are team members and we're here to help. We also had team shirts done, and we wear those often on Thursdays when we have our meetings, just as a reminder that we're getting together, and so staff and students are aware of that. But we are very fortunate in that we have had the buy-in with staff that more and more parents call and want connections, and we're grateful that word is getting out.
Thank you. I'm going to pull that back over.
Mm-hmm.
It says I can't take control.
Okay. I don't know if there's something I need to do.
Oh, there it is. I'm back here. Okay.
Good.
I think we're back to me. Thank you. Okay, number 5. We've talked about a little bit of the challenges that you face, but I'd like for us to focus a little more time on that, especially perhaps even some of the smaller challenges, not the greatest challenges that you've faced, but some of the smaller ones and how you have been able to address those. Cheryl, let's go back to you.
Okay. I have to speak a little bit about the challenge of maintaining a team. Over time, we've had people leave the team and come back. Certainly we have new people joining, but I think that's one of the challenges for me as a coordinator, the health of that team, keeping everyone motivated and enthused. And sometimes, you know, you're scratching your head thinking, what can I do next? But so that's one thing I think that we've been challenged with. And another thing is the team meeting time. There was a period of time when we met before school, and that just wasn't working for our team members. The ones that had children had difficulty making it to school on time for the meeting. Again, that's that administrative support, though. When they let us have subs cover for our teachers, what we do is primarily meet over the lunch hours. So when we have a 2 or 3 hour meeting, 1 hour of that will be that teacher's lunch period. And so we don't have to have a sub for that. But again, experimenting with meeting times, trying to figure out something that works best for everybody.
Thank you, Cheryl. How about you, Debbie?
Well, again, I think some of the challenges is the resources over the years have dwindled down. We used to have our local hospital that was very supportive, and they would do a lot of our stuff for our students with addictions. That's kind of gone by the wayside. We do use some resources, but they're so far away. Students with no insurance is obviously an issue. Students who can't get Medicaid because they're as we say, the rich poor. That's been an issue too, to get them outside services. Financially, I think there's a sign of the times with finances. We're pretty lucky again because our district's supportive, but you just never know. I mean, this could be a position that they eliminate should we ever come into where they have to make decisions as well, so that's always scary. Overall, I think the largest challenges have been, again, the lack of resources in the community.
Thanks, Debbie. Jean, how about you?
Our 2 biggies, I think, first of all, is the limited time, and we meet after school every week. I think it was important for us to stress that we would end at a certain time, that we respect your time, and we're going to make these minutes count. And so for us, I think just the importance of streamlining the process. I send out an agenda a couple days prior to the meeting. One person takes care of bringing permanent records with them so that we know what a student might have been doing at another school. any test results, that sort of thing. So we try and be as organized and respectful of everyone's time as possible, and that's something that's really evolved over time. But then on a more macro level, I think, given the economic decline and because we do have high rates of poverty and the risk factors that go along with them, safety concerns, I feel that the kids sometimes have this sense of hopelessness and a why bother kind of attitude. And an effort to kind of meet them where they are, along with holiday gift giving and supports with food and that type of thing, I was able to bring together a lot of the community organizations, several local churches, and just kind of mobilize that group. We provide free lunches to 3 of our poorest districts every summer. And it has been so good to have parents come out who recognize us and the kids come out and hug us as we drop off these lunch bags. We do about 150 a day through the summer. And it has really helped to build some bridges and to show people that we care. So that has been a real positive for us.
Thank you. That sounds like a terrific way to build a lot of connections with families. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at question number 6. What do you believe has helped your SAP be sustainable and successful through the years? So all 3 of your SAPs have been in place for a long time. We know that there are SAPs around the state that are struggling and some that have been eliminated, and the good news is that some of those schools are starting to understand how much they missed SAP while it's been gone, and they're looking at reestablishing student assistance again. But what we'd like now is to hear about some of those key strategies that have been part of your SAP to help make it sustainable and successful through the years.
This is Cheryl. I want to say one thing. I think that you have to be creative. Yes, we are all finding that the resources in the community are much less than they used to be, but there are areas where you just keep looking. And I think that we've had really good luck with one of our area hospitals, for instance, that has an adolescent unit. They have therapists that are willing to come down here. Now it's 4 times a year, but they do come and they'll talk on a variety of subjects. And I think what makes it sustainable and possible is you just have to ask the question, can you help us? Would you be willing to do something? The other thing for us here at Belleville East, I think what's made us sustainable has been the philosophy of our administration. Academic achievement, student well-being is very much in the forefront when our administration talks to the teachers and talks to all of us about what we're about here at Belleville East and what our mission is. And I think that goes hand in hand with SAP because we're one more intervention, we're one more avenue to help that student be successful. So I think just the philosophy of our school has helped us keep SAP viable, important, and on people's minds as an option for students.
Appreciate what you're saying as SAP being another tool, an option, another tool, because that is the attitude that helps us put integration between SAP services and other aspects of the building so that we're not having kids falling between the teams in a sense, and we're able to serve more kids that way. Thank you, Cheryl. Debbie, how about you?
Well, first I need to explain what I mean with regards to our students not having the resources. With our addictions policy, if a student's caught under the influence and they're assessed and one of the assessor says that they need an intensive outpatient program, there just isn't one available. So that's what I mean by we're up against the wall. And I think what happens is our student, and that they're supposed to comply with the results of the assessment, and they just can't comply. So we're trying to put our heads together, and we are as a team coming up with a plan with our superintendent because we want to come up with something. So we have invited Rosecrans to come in. We've invited the Will County Health Department, other area programs to come in so we can come up with some kind of plan for our students. So I do want to better clarify what I meant with that. Secondly, I think the success comes from the administration buy-in. Again, our superintendent, enough can't be said about her abilities. She's involved in everything. She knows what goes on. She donates money. Actually, I was telling, I think, Patty, maybe I told you, even my prevention club did a a big fundraiser for Breakfast with Santa to raise money for Snowball. She always plays Mrs. Santa Claus for us. So I mean, I think administration buy-in has been key in definitely sustaining this. In addition to that, I think our parents would be lost. I think our parents know that we need these things. I think they would be knocking somebody's door if we didn't offer the resources. So I think we want to support our community, and it helps that we have so many people involved. So thank you.
Thank you. And we know from the research, the best practice standards, administrative support is at the top of the list. So you're echoing what we know is best practice as well. Thank you. Jean, how about you?
Well, and that was what I was going to say also. I think the fact that, a principal and a superintendent share, their thoughts as part of the team, not through taking over, but by actually just getting right there in the midst, becoming a case manager, maybe tutoring or talking to a student at given times during the week, has been really powerful, and what a great role model for our members, other members, to see that they're willing to do that. I think our team has a genuine concern for our kiddos. We have several members from each different grade level too, so if somebody, just wasn't able to make it, we would still have somebody in that same grade level that could give great input on a specific student. And also the fact that that's kind of the jumping off place for our special ed services and the RTI process, because it is the first stop in that road. It would be impossible that business without it.
Thank you, Jean. Let's take a look at our last question. Anything else that we haven't touched upon that you would like to add? Anything unique or something working really well? We haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about how you're connected with response to intervention. So if you could, for just a minute, with each of you, Jean, you just touched on that, but with each of you, would you first talk about how is your SAP coordinated or integrated with response to intervention, and then anything that we haven't touched on that you would like to add? Anything unique, something working really well, or just something else, like a word of advice to anyone listening to this webinar as well. Let's go back up and start with Cheryl.
Our response intervention program, the PLC program I talked about earlier, is one of those programs, and I think it's worked very well with our STAR team, our SAP team, in that we do get referrals from them. They do a nice job of looking at what's going on and then referring to us. Something that I want to mention this about our team too. Something that I think works well for us is because of everyone's schedules and the demands on the teachers, not every member makes every meeting. And I find it interesting that because we trust their commitment and their work ethic with our students, that's okay. They'll be at the next meeting. And just relying on the fact that they will do that, I think, creates a team cohesion. We understand why we're there, and I think, as Jean said too, everybody's there for the right reasons. These are team members that are taking on another job duty here at school by being a member of the team, and it's just the camaraderie and the team building that goes on at the meeting is I think, inspirational at times. The other thing I think that works well for us is the system that we're using to document visits with our students and information about our students. Pat, I'd mentioned to you this Access program, and yes, I can show you that if you'd like to.
I would. Let me change it over to you.
Okay.
And then if you click that little button that says show my screen.
Okay, I did. Do you see this? It's a system, it's an access program that was, Sally Steffens at Belleville West designed this, but it actually speaks to the information that's on the student outcome data form. Can you see it, Pat?
Can you hit that enlarge button? Full screen view. There.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, this is just a great way for us to keep track. I can log on to this at any time and see what's going on with a student. If an administrator calls me, it's a great way for us to keep our records together. So when I'm doing my year-end report, it makes it much easier for me. We just really have utilized this system and think it works well.
Thanks, Cheryl. Let's see if we can get that back over.
Pat?
Yes.
Could I interject a quick question that came from one of our attendees, and that is, could the panelists talk a little bit about how their SAPs are funded in terms of their operation and those kinds of things?
Well,
Sure.
I can speak for here, Belleville East. We consider the fact that our administration is willing to pay for substitutes for them while they're in a team meeting as an extremely generous area of funding. But as far as other monies, we do rely on our school's student aid fund, which is something that one of our counselors coordinates here at Belleville East. And if we have a student, for instance, who needs support to pay a power bill or they don't have groceries, we can tap into that as a resource.
Debbie, how about you? Would you talk about that with your team?
You mean with regards to funding or the previous question?
The funding. Yeah, the funding.
The funding, for our students, of course, we work through our social workers, and we have funds set aside, and we also work with our homeless liaison in Will County quite frequently. As far as my position, it's obviously funded by district. And years ago, it used to be primarily based on title money and whatnot, but of course, that's all been eliminated. So our district picked up my position as a full-time position at both campuses because we only have 2 social workers with 3,000 students at each campus. So we do take on some of those additional responsibilities that perhaps what social workers might be doing in other buildings. So it's basically district buy-in again.
Okay, thank you. Jean, how about you? Would you talk about that, please?
Certainly, yes. We don't have any outside funding. If we do have a student need, just as a matter of getting something paid for, we would go to our Helping Hand Fund, and that does the same type of thing that Cheryl spoke of. We buy coats or shoes or pay a bill or whatever it takes to help a family maintain their household. But one other thing our district does is pay for social work interns, and I know that since there have been a lot of changes in laws, a lot of the Missouri schools that we used to get our interns from, and we would get reimbursement through special ed money, we can no longer use those folks. So our district actually pays for 3 interns, up to 3 interns per year, so that we can get added support, and it really does spread our availability to our students and their families.
Thanks. I see there's another question in terms of school grants. What advice can you give to our listeners to tap into the schools so that we can service them?
Well, I unfortunately don't have much experience in either writing grants or utilizing them at Belleville East. I haven't tapped into any of those monies, so I'll have to defer to someone else on the panel.
Could I interject here, Pat?
Sure.
Okay. When we did get the Safe Schools Healthy Student Grant, that's no longer available, I don't believe. But we would all the time just look and look. We go on Samson's website. We would look constantly for different grants that were available, and we just write and write and write. And we were totally shocked when we received that money. However, now there's just not a lot of resources, financial resources. I did suggest, and we have been kind of looking into like some local, maybe some corporate funding and things of that nature to help our students, and some have been very generous with doing that as well. So, you know, I would look at the corporate level, I would look at the governmental level, I would look at anywhere you can, because obviously there's not these are hard times, as we all know, and I think that's the worst part of this is we want to keep programs going for our students, but others are struggling as well. So.
A good comment with that, Debbie. I just want to add as well, what the corporate world needs is students that are prepared to work. And an emphasis that is kind of flowing down from the federal government that we'll learn more about in the near future is that they're going to start putting more emphasis on the school's ability to help students be prepared to work. And in that, there will be more emphasis on social emotional learning. And I think that's one of the talking points that we can make available when we are meeting with someone from a business in the community. I want very quickly for us to touch on that last question with both Debbie and Jean. We only have a couple minutes left. So if we could go back to Debbie, anything else that we haven't touched on that you would like to add?
You know, one thing, Pat, I think that's really important is prevention. I think we're losing that its focus. I think prevention's key in keeping it. Because I'll tell you, I've gotten so many students that have been referred to me that are kind of like, I guess I would call them your fence sitters, if you will. And they've decided to be part of my prevention program. And I really think I think that we really need to just remind ourselves how important prevention is. And I think that's a key component. I know I'm successful with, I mean, I'm not successful. My students are successful with our prevention program. I can't say enough about the kids I work with, and I think that because my building so much emphasizes prevention, I think that makes our students way more successful, and they know that they have somewhere to go. So I think that's really a big key is to focus on prevention.
Thanks, Debbie. Jean, how about you?
I guess the one thing, you know, we've talked about all these different groups and clubs and organization and community support, but I would hope we go away remembering that it's not just a matter of doing these monumental interventions. It's sometimes very small things make a huge difference in our students' lives. It could be just knowing them by name and greeting them daily, or one student that was failing and would not have made it out of 8th grade, one of the decisions was that I offered to call and wake the student up every morning, and she was able to graduate. So it can just be very practical things that don't cost money, but just an investment of time, and it can really make a huge difference.
Thank you, all three of you, for giving your time to us today. Just a world of valuable information, and I so appreciate that you are sharing your wisdom with us. Dale, I want to turn it back over to you to kind of wrap things up for today.
Sure. I want to thank everyone for attending, and if there are additional questions that you have for any of our presenters and or myself or Patricia, please feel free to contact me. You can send me an email at Dale, D-A-L-E .Gasparovic, G-A-S-P-A-R-O-V-I-C @prevention.org, and I'll be happy to get you in contact with the presenters or Patricia or answer your question myself. And we hope to have you back at some of our future webinars. Our next webinar will actually be March 13th, and that'll be on adolescent medication management. And then there are a few more up and coming. Those can be viewed on our website at www.prevention.org. Click on Educators and Schools in the Student Assistance tab. That would be under Trainings. The webinars are all the way at the bottom of that page. Thank you once again for attending, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation. Thank you once again to all three of our panelists, Cheryl, Debbie, and Jean. And Pat, thank you for moderating our discussion today.
My pleasure.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.